I will just stop my screen sharing so we can introduce ourselves maybe a little bit and then start directly with the presentation, which is called Into the Wild today. But yeah, maybe let's start. First of all, we are happy to present this study today for you. Yeah, as part of the I Square Insight series. It's a big study into the wild we've done together with Screenforce. We're very proud about the study, but yeah, we'll introduce ourselves first maybe, and then we will start with the presentation. You want to start, Marvin?
Yeah, let me introduce you. You know, that's
That's a good
that's more like a
idea.
natural thing. So, hi everyone, nice to meet you virtually. Nice to get about the current trends in media research. We will help the seminar. It's part of the iSquare Insight series, and today the title is Into the Wild, our latest Screenforce study. Presenting for you is Stefan. He's everything, like the executive vice president and partner of iSquare, as well as the unit lead of the brand and media unit, which means we in the brand and media unit do everything that is related to advertisement, brand communication, brand experience, and of course, everything that has a connection to media, whether it is a media planning or media behavior. And Stefan is, for many years, a renowned expert. He wouldn't say that, but I can say that. He's a renowned expert for everything that is related to media comparisons and every trend about advertising, basically.
Thank you so much, Marvin. And I have the honor to present together with Marvin today. Yeah, Marvin, I would say, is, to be honest, the one specialist in the Screenforce studies and in all the media studies we've done together with them. Always the face to the client, to the audience. You've done so many great projects on understanding media channels, comparing different media channels, comparing media behavior and how ads play into this. And yeah, it's an honor to present with you. And I think with this, we are ready to kick off. And I will share my screen again because I will start and then hand over to you. So let me share my screen again. Now you should see the presentation. All right, as said, today it's about Into the Wild. Yeah, and to be honest, this study is yeah, the latest study of a greater series we've done together with Screenforce in the last couple of years. To be honest, it's very well received in the different markets. We have been presenting it really extensively in the DACH region, but also in the international market research world, marketing research world. We were in London, we were in New York, we even were in Cannes this summer presenting the study. And we would say some really special things about the study. First of all, it's a media comparison. That's always yeah, very interesting for a lot of people, especially advertisers, agencies. So in this study, we compared TV, broadcaster video on demand, YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok, different channels everyone is interested in. And the really special thing about this, we did in the study a thing we normally don't do when we try to compare the advertisement effects of different media channels. We didn't control for anything. So that's why it's called Into the Wild. We let people do whatever they want to do on their own devices and stuff. And that's why I think most of the results are so valuable for the market and for the discussion in the market. And yeah, with this, we are kicking off, and I'll try to explain what we did in the study. First of all, yeah, big kudos, of course, go to Screenforce, as said, a long partner in this research, this kind of research. Yeah, and Screenforce is the marketing body, to be said, in the DACH region for all the TV advertisers and yeah, total video advertisers. We have here, see a lot of big names here like 7-One, Ad Alliance, and yeah, all the others in here. And yeah, they are responsible for this. They are doing a lot of research in this area. It's really well received and well respected because they're really open. They really try to do the right studies. They're asking the markets even before they do studies, what are you interested in? And they're really transparent with what they're doing. So yeah, it's an honor to work with these guys. And yeah, really proud to present in name of Screenforce today. But as said, background and methods is really important when we talk about the study. First of all, as said, we let people do whatever they want. So there was no pre-selected ads, no content, nothing of this. People could use their own devices. They could do whatever they want. They could switch to any other content at any time. They did use the personal devices, so they were in their personal feeds. They had real advertising contacts. Nothing we did in terms of pre-selecting campaigns or stuff. They could do a second screening. They were at home for the big screen situation, but they were also allowed to be out of home when they were using the mobile. So to be honest, it was as natural as it could be in a kind of research. And of course, if you do a thing like this, if you don't have control about what people will do, it's very important that you afterwards have an idea of what happened in these media sessions. And what we did in this situation, we used eye tracking. Yeah? We are very famous for eye tracking, and we used pupil eye tracking glasses in this situation. So very easy to set up and easy to use eye tracking. And you see here someone sitting in his living room, watching telly, using his phone. And we, in each and every second, did know what happened on the screen and where did the respondents looked at. And this is very important because we, in the end, had a really a big task in coding all the stuff. So there was a second-by-second analysis, almost 200 people, almost 200 hours of media consumption. And we did analyze what happened on the screen and what was the content part and how many ads were there. And that's really important. Now we have a look at the channels. So these were the 5 different channels we had a look on. That said, TV and streaming, broadcast, video on demand is very important. We're talking about Screenforce here, but of course they wanted to compare against YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok. For YouTube, it's very important that we understand that YouTube is a very complex platform. We will see this later on as well in the presentation. But what we did here, because we know it's a very different game, we did test on big screen and on mobile. And for all the mobile situations, we said, okay, you can use it in home, but you can also use it out of home, because it's we know a big part of the usage of these channels. And I said it's a kind of risk they were taking at Screenforce because you don't know how you end up and how many ads in the end you have. You can compare with each other. But in this case, we found over 4,100 ad contacts. These is a very impressive number. Also fairly distributed across the different channels. So we had a really big database to compare the different media channels and what happened when ads were on the screen and how ads were remembered and stuff. But I think with this, I can pass it on to you, Marvin, because now we have talked a lot about these methods, and I think everyone is keen now to understand what happened and what were the results.
Yeah, thanks, Stefan. So as you already pointed out, this is such a gigantic data set because we couldn't control for anything. We just let the people do whatever they wanted to do and had to recode and analyze everything after the session took place. And so this resulted in a massive data set. And the best idea, if we're talking about large data sets, is to start with a very broad perspective. And this is what we want to do with you guys. So the very first thing, as we're psychologists, is how did the people feel when they were on the different platforms? So this is what they answered, and it's a pretty interesting result. All those people sat on benches, in the living room, on their couches, whatever, but still 1 out of 2 people, one out of 2 users is telling us after half an hour on TikTok, they feel exhausted. They haven't done anything physical, but it is the mental load that makes us feel exhausted because there's a very, very large number of content out there, as well as ads. And we always have to judge, is it interesting or not? Is it interesting or not? Swipe away or stay. And so if you do this for 30 minutes, it actually can be exhausted. And the same is true, especially on TikTok, if we ask the people, how did you like the content? How did you experience the content? And 1/3 of all participants said the content was tiring because somehow it is this typical brain draining feeling if you do over and over the same task, like deciding, is it interesting or not? And Stefan, maybe you know that kind of feeling, or you're familiar with that kind of feeling, especially on TikTok, aren't you?
Exactly. So it's not me personally, but if you ever would have seen my 16-year-old being summoned down for dinner after the heavy usage of, let's say, TikTok for 1 hour or so, you know exactly what you're talking about here. Completely exhausted, maybe 1,000 videos in this time. And if you ask about, okay, what have you done? What was the most interesting thing? He wouldn't even be able to answer what he has seen in the recent times. So that's really, something I can really, um, um, yeah, um, say from a personal side, I can see as well.
From a parent side, right?
From a parent side, to be
Yeah.
honest.
So we used to call this a storm of pictures or image storm because it is really a massive stream you can get into, and you will completely forget about the time. 30 minutes is not that much if you can compare that to like a 50 or 60-minute episode on Netflix. So it's not that much, but it is more than enough to stop everything that works in our brain because we just feel exhausted and don't want to do anything more. The next step would now be to have a look on the ads because we are in the brand and media experience unit, so ads is what drives us. So the next thing we did was counting how many ads in real life situations are actually out there. And these are the official lottery numbers. So television, 27 ads per hour. This is somewhat expectable because if we roughly estimate an ad between 20 and 30 seconds, you could come up to those famous 12 minutes per hour, which is the legal limit for ads in German television at least. So this is somewhat expectable. On BVOD, we see 18 ads per hour, which is lower than television, but things work different on those platforms. We're talking about pre and mid rolls, so no thing to worry about. The big question is how much is on the other platforms? So YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok. And maybe this is a good idea to just take 3 seconds for you guys and just write down your best estimate, an educated guess. How much advertisement do you think is on YouTube, on Instagram, and on TikTok per hour? And I was fair, you already have those references, 27 and 18. Drum roll. So let's have a look. YouTube is actually more than on the broadcast and on-demand platforms. YouTube has 24 ads per hour. And the really crazy thing is what we didn't expect, Instagram. Instagram skyrocketed this number. We see 44 ads on average on Instagram. And of course, I have to say this is an average, this is a mean. We actually identified one poor person who saw more than 100 ads in an hour, which is literally a one-on-one ratio of ads to content. So that person saw one content piece, one ad, one content, one ad. And then again, going back to TikTok, TikTok is basically on the level of YouTube, 24 ads per hour. So definitely less than Instagram. But here's the deal. We counted for every different type of advertisement, which means static ads as well as video ads. And obviously, Instagram contains a lot of static ads as well. And this is somehow unfair for comparison, which we want to do. So you usually do not see static ads on television. We know that there's a lot of static ads on Instagram. And again, on TikTok, there's literally no static ads. So we need to compensate for that. And that is why we divided those things. And from now on, we only refer to this number of ads because we want to be absolutely fair and just compare video advertisement. So here's the number 17 static ads on Instagram. So really a massive number. The next question would be, I don't care how much advertisement is out there. I'm just interested if my brand, if me as an advertiser, will be in the minds of the people. So how good can they remember my brand name or any kind of product information? And usually in the learning theory, in psychology, in neurology, you would argue the more ads are out there, the harder it is to remember. And maybe Stefan, you had those you had that comparison or those meta.
Yeah, when we were talking about this first, I was like, yeah, it's a simple thing, right? Let's say you're going out with two colleagues. Let's name them. Let's say it's Gareth and Lisa, and you're talking with them, let's say for an hour, having a pizza or whatever. And I ask you next day, Marvin, who were you out with yesterday evening? You can remember the names, I guess.
Yeah, Gareth and Lisa.
And now imagine the same situation. There might be, let's say, a social event or whatever. You be there for an hour. There are 50 people on the balcony having a drink, and you're just like talking around, and you talk with Carol and Lisa, but also with Matthias and Flo and all the others. I won't name them, but if I now ask you the next day, do you remember who you talked to?
Maybe 3 or 4.
Yeah.
I'm not that good.
And that's the ratio, yeah. So that's the idea. Okay, if there's less people, less ads, we would assume the ad recall rate would be much better. But that's the interesting question. I guess you will answer in the next slides.
Okay, so in theory, we would expect that those platforms with a lower ad load would perform better in the ad recall. But actually, it doesn't look like that. These are one of the most important slides. I would say at least those slides will be photographed and screenshotted all the time when we're on stage. So television with the 27 ads per hour load is actually at 13%, which is an impressive number. Keep in mind, we're talking about free recall, so without any cues. BVOD even outperforms television, 20% of ads. That is really, really impressive. 1 out of 5 ads is correctly recalled without any hints or more info or cues. And to be fair, YouTube at 9% is still an impressive number because the free recall is such a hard and such a strict KPI. And then on Instagram, we have to call them out. That is not really impressive. 1% is roughly nothing. And TikTok is not really better at 3%. So talking about the overall pattern, BVOD outperforms TV in a solid second place. The social media things are on the lower end, and YouTube is somewhere in between. And this doesn't match to the ad load we saw before. So the interesting insight so far is there must be something else that can explain free recall, that can explain the ad effectiveness. And if I have a short look at the next slide, which is called attention, Stefan, maybe this has to do with what our brain wants to see, how we think about things, what we see, what we hear. So could it something to do, could there be a connection to attention?
No, yes, of course, it is. It is one way to explain it, right? There might be others, but of course, this might be a very strong indicator, and we will have a look on these numbers, yeah, in a second. And as you say, it's very important to understand this situation. But before we talk about real attention in terms of like eye tracking and yeah, where did people look at? The first idea we always have is we will have a look and see how long are the ads visible on the screen. Yeah, it's called ad visibility. And you see the numbers here, and they might be giving a first explanation of what you were just showing with the recall rates. So you see stable numbers around 20 seconds for TV. This number even goes up. It's around 23 seconds for for broadcast or video on demand. Basically, this difference comes from, we would say, like zapping behavior. So they're mainly the same spots on these different channels. But on BVOD, to be fair, we have shorter ad breaks, 3, 4, maybe 5 spots on a row. That's it. And especially for the German market, that's something, maybe something not so positive we can say about TV today. It's like they have quite long ad breaks. So it might happen that you see 10 or even 15 spots in a row. And this from time to time makes people like switching channels and looking for somewhere else. So you see there's a short difference, but still around 20 seconds for TV. If we now go down, we see a number of almost 10 seconds for YouTube. As already said, YouTube is a very complex thing here. You can imagine we have skippable ads here or non-skippable ads that plays an important role. So if you can skip an ad, you have to watch it for 5 seconds, but then you can skip. If you don't have this opportunity, you have to watch it, or it has to be played until the end before you can see your video. So that's a real mixture and something we will learn more about, I guess, also has to do like with screen size and other stuff. But now we come to numbers that maybe are already known in the market, but still quite impressive if you see it in a direct comparison. If we talk about Instagram, TikTok, the social media world, we're talking about roughly 2.5 seconds. Yeah. And just to make everybody aware of what this means, we have a short video here with us. It's a TikTok video. It's from the study. So some of the users, one of the users just did this, and it's just a short piece. We will play it, and you see a lot of things happening here. We have the dog, we have this person, we have another person. You see a lot of different videos, and this goes on and on, as said. But this question in this moment here would be to the audience: did any one of you have seen an ad? I know you can't answer, but normally if you present this, there's maybe 20, 30% maybe people in the audience saying, yeah, there was an ad. And so now, for all of you guys who haven't seen an ad, we will play this video again, and we will show a timer so you can see when the ad is on the screen. Timer is, okay. No, that's not so good, but okay. For whatever reason, it didn't work out. So you've seen in the end, it was 2.5 seconds. It was Zalando. Maybe remember on the first time you've seen the video. It's a very short amount of time. And that's the situation where this advertisement has to make sure, okay, the brand is coming across, the message is coming. That's not so easy. Now on this slide, what we have now a look on is the real attention data in terms of like people did look on the ad while it was on the screen. And you see here the numbers mainly represent the order we have seen before. Yeah, so BVOD with almost 20 seconds is the channel where the ads get the longest and the most intensive attention. TV 15 seconds, and then it's followed by YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok. And if we now recall the play duration of these ads, you see, especially for TV and YouTube, around 25%, so a quarter of the attention that the ad was on the screen has not been paid towards the ad, which in the TV situation is mainly due to second screen usage. This is DACH region. We see also other markets where this number is even going more down. There's not so much distraction on BVOD. On YouTube, you have the same ratio in a way, like 10 seconds more or less play duration, but only 7.4 seconds eye tracking on the ad or eyes on ad. Here, it is really important to understand the different screens. So you have situations on YouTube where you have a full screen experience from the ad, and others where the ad is only part of the screen, and that's very important here. And you see, if we now go on the right side to Instagram and TikTok, especially TikTok, you see, okay, out of the 2.3 seconds play duration, at least 2 seconds on the screen. So the loss between play duration and actual watch time and eyes on it is very small. And that's something I think, Marvin, you explained already in a way, because a really a tense situation, people really try to understand very fast. Is this something for me? Do I just skip for the next video, or will I stay? Yeah, that's a very intense situation. And that's exactly represented in these numbers here. But still, it's only 2 seconds. Another thing we could do with this high-class eye tracking situation, and something I wanted to show in this next video, because it's really interesting, we could also look into details. So not only what we've seen right now was eyes on it, but if you see this video here with this eye tracking signal, we could also see, okay, on this ad like here, did people look towards brand cues like brand logo, product, claim, and other stuff? And that's very important because if you want to understand the ad effectiveness, I mean, it might be a good idea to watch a TV spot and have 15 seconds of a nice story and a nice song and a nice emotional experience. But if there's no ad involved, no brand cues involved, there might be no effect towards the brand in the end. So that's a thing we did let's say detailed research on in this study. We have one thing with us today, the products themselves. So we have also, like I said, brand logo, claim and stuff, but products, just as an example for today. And what you can see here, for TV, out of the 15 seconds of attention, almost 3 seconds were going towards the product directly. Yeah, and that's a good number because it makes clear that there's in most of the cases also a strong relation towards the brand in these situations. Number even goes up to 4 seconds on broadcast video on demand. So even more and stronger relation. Goes down on YouTube to 1.5 seconds. And now the big question is what happens on social media, right? Because the total time of attention towards the ad is so small. We were a little bit afraid of, okay, what will we see here in this situation? But to be fair, it's a quite impressive number for you. You see it's around 1 second, even more. So this, just shows what maybe a lot of you are aware of. If you do advertisement on social media, you have to make sure, even in a really short amount of time, that there is a connection towards the product and the brand. Otherwise, it might be a problem. So that's something we would say where you can see that social media also has its value, and if it's nice played and you see a good creation here, you can also have a effect towards the brand and the product. That's possible in this situation. And I think now, as said a lot of times already, we wanted to deep dive into YouTube and BDD and understand what happens there, especially I think in the YouTube universe, right? That's how we call it because there's so many different things going on. That's something you will talk about, Marvin.
Yeah, we really need that extra time because, as you already said, Stefan, YouTube is such a complex platform. And this started from the beginning when we collected the data in the real world. We had to think of the different usage situations. So we had to think of YouTube mobile test groups and YouTube CTV test groups, just to be absolutely fair. And therefore, it is interesting to dive into that and have a look at the data. So let's do it. Just if you have a quick look on these screens, and we're talking about, like, I'm a really movie guy, I'm into cinema, I'm into James Bond, so I have like a 75-inch flat screen at home with my Dolby Surround sound system, etc. Compared to my smartphone, vertical hold in the worst case, and you have a pre-roll on the left side on my big screen, and the same pre-roll on a vertical smartphone. Isn't it quite obvious that we would expect different results in terms of ad effects? And obviously, this is the case. Unfortunately, bigger screen means bigger attention, and there we see what that actually means, bigger attention. If we go down from the big screen for YouTube to the mobile version, we will lose 8.5 seconds, which equals to more than half of the overall ad visibility, minus 58%. Okay, next step is we don't mind how long an ad was visible. We only care if people looked at it. So the real eye tracking data again, viewing time. And unfortunately, we see the exact same number, minus 54%. So more than half of the viewing time is going away once we change out the device. And unfortunately, this is an effect that Stefan already explained. The attention is a huge influence on the recall. And if we have looked at the free recall, we see that the recall on mobile devices for YouTube is minus 57% lower. And then our next idea was, okay, let's compare the most similar platforms. So BVOD on the big screen versus YouTube on the big screen, because both is using the same device, both is on demand, both is longer content if I want. So those must be similar, right? And this is what we see. Even here, BVOD is ahead in terms of free ad recall. We still see a difference of minus 30% in the most closest comparison we can do. And this again is a hint that there's more than just attention. We should call it maybe usage situation or usage behavior. It's like the overall experience. There must be something else. And we found it in the data actually. So it is about ad acceptance and ad delivery and timing. The problem with YouTube is they're pretty okay. They're in the middle area in terms of ad recall. They're usually in those areas for brand image and etc. or those KPIs. But what is the problem? Why can't there be higher values for YouTube? Because people don't like advertising in general, no surprise, but especially not if it's on YouTube. This is what people say, 76%. 3 out of 4 people say advertising is particularly annoying on YouTube. And just remember the numbers from the ad load. I think I have them for you again. People absolutely do not like advertising on YouTube, although YouTube has the lowest ad load. So we're not talking about the overall ad experience or ad avoidance behavior. We're talking about how it feels. And unfortunately, on YouTube, we see a lot of pre-rolls and mid-rolls that are interrupting my media time, my flow, so to say. So this is a very bad position for advertisement. While on television, for example, this is simply a learned block of commercials. I wouldn't say ad break because there isn't anything breaking and it's not pausing something. I have a smooth flow into the advertisement. And this is something that YouTube cannot do right now. So there's so many other things to do, but I think I have to look at the time and maybe Stefan, it's your turn again, just to summarize everything we talked about.
I try my best. And directly jump into summary and conclusion. So yeah, we've seen a lot of numbers, and on the next slide we try to give a summary on this. Starting with the broadcaster video on demand, we would call this the golden zone, right? So what you've seen here is like it's high quality content. You have a nice and handy ad island, we would call it. It's shorter ad proportions. People are very attentive towards the content and also to the ads. And then we would say that's the spot where you want to be. It's like, yeah, the golden zone in this situation. TV, all-time favorite, we call it. It's reliable, it's learned, it's accepted. We have the highest acceptance for advertisement in the TV world. People know this, they grew up with this situation. And yeah, somehow, as you said, Marvin, it's part of the entertainment situation there, and people are also more open to what happens there on the screen when there is an ad break on. The song would be maybe Never Lets You Down in this situation. YouTube, yeah, we were really not, it was not so easy to find a good name. So we were ending up with the YouTube universe. It's just too big to handle. So we have seen you have big screen, you have small screen, you have full screen ads, you have ads that are not fully covering the screen, you have skippable, non-skippable situations. You have so many different formats. We've also seen there's a lot of static ads on these platforms. So it's really complex. That's why in the end it's ending up in the midfield. Yeah. And what we have seen, the biggest problem for YouTube is like the ad acceptance. So people, for whatever reason, are not really accepting the ads on YouTube. They have to wait for their video, especially in the pre-roll situation, which is a very common ad situation on YouTube. And sometimes maybe they also feel maybe the stuff I'm seeing there or I'm waiting for is not really worth to see an ad before, right? So that might be the problem here. TikTok, the new kid on the block, at least it was like a year ago when we started the whole thing. First of all, surprise, better than Instagram. And we would say it's mainly due towards the ad load, because what we have seen with ad acceptance, what we have seen with attention spans we have on these platforms, they are more or less the same. But the ad load was still much lower than Instagram, yeah, with 24 ads per hour. So we would say this is maybe something we have to redo and have to keep in mind. If there's going more money into this platform, if you see more ads, we might be also seeing a decrease in ad recall. Yeah, on Instagram, we called it ad speed dating. It's crazy, yeah. It's like 44 ads in an hour, very short attention spans, and that's ending up in this really low recall rate of 1%. Yeah. Marvin, how did you call it? It's
Oh, it's a secret usually, but in this case, Instagram is Tinder for advertisement.
yeah, Tinder advertising.
There's so many options out there. There's always someone looking better, looking more interesting. No chance to get there.
Yeah, and to sum this up even more, it's like what we found out here. It's if you want to understand how advertisement works in the real world, unfortunately, it's very complicated. So you have to keep in mind there are a lot of different things happening. It's ad load, it's acceptance, it's attention spans, it's the usage situation. All these different things come into mind and come into play when you're talking about the ad effectiveness of different channels. And yeah, with this study, what we wanted to do, and that's at least the feedback from the market. What we have done is like we try to enrich the conversation and bring some ground truth data into the discussion about the value of the different media channels. And hopefully you have learned something about this today. And with this, I would say we are saying thank you. All right, we're a bit over the time, so everyone is in the room. So there is room for questions if you like. Maybe we have a look into the question section.
You can simply write down your questions in the Q&A section, or in German it's called F&A, and we can read them out anonymously if you want. By the way, I can check if we have any questions right now. So we actually have one question. I have to translate it into English. This study found that attention is one of the key influencing factors, and the dependent variables were mainly memory or recall. What is about the other factors like brand image, for example?
Good question. Yeah, maybe I start and then you can add in. Yeah, first of all, it's not so easy. So in this really open design, we can also only ask for free ad recall. But of course, we know it from other studies. So there's an ad funnel, and we know, okay, if there's more attention towards the ad and the ad is making a good communication, there's also an impact towards the brand image. In this study, we have asked about how did you experience the brands that were visible on the screen while you were having the media experience. And there we see a quite clear picture that especially the brands on the big screen, on TV and broadcast video on demand, they were received more valuable, more high class and stuff like this. So that's something we could definitely see. Yeah, and of course, it's a very important question. Maybe to add in another thing here is like it's always a discussion about like upper funnel, lower funnel. So what we have seen here is like the upper funnel, and of course, like this is where TV and broadcaster video on demand is really strong in terms of like okay, long attention spans, great recall rates and stuff. If it comes down the lower funnel, and we talk about activation and sales stuff, there's also yeah, a lot of proof that social media can help, and yeah, but good question. Anything else? I think would.
Otherwise, I could add that kind of question we usually get in personal discussions when we are live somewhere, where the media agencies, after we were on stage, come up to you and ask, but what is about the creative itself? Doesn't it have an effect at all, or is it only about platforms? And I think the good news is absolutely the creative itself has a strong impact on its effect, obviously. This method approach we used here, this into the wild stuff, is looking for a very general difference between the media platforms. But obviously, and we have tested that, for example, on YouTube, if we check for differences, YouTube on the big screen versus YouTube on the smartphone, how people perceive the creative itself, there we see the lowest decrease. So the creative is fine. And just remember the 2.5 seconds visibility or the 2 seconds eyes on ad that Stefan talked about. If you have a creative that is really good in creating suspense or delivering a hook in the first 2 seconds, then people will most likely stay a bit longer on that than it is a very boring intro. But again, it is about the general perception of ads, the general effects of the platforms. And yeah, if we say you want to keep the attention, you want to keep people at the pre-roll, for example, then your first seconds become much more important than on television, for example. And that is why every platform nowadays has its own style in terms of content, but also in terms of advertisement.
Yeah. Maybe just to add on this, what we've seen here is averages, right? So of course you also have social media ads that gets much longer attention if you do the right thing, like Marvin just explained. So there's always a good chance if you have a great creative that you yeah, exceed these benchmarks and are being very effective and yeah, that's always possible. Another question in the chat now. I think it's the last one. I think we have to close. But it's did you also investigate content differences between the advertisements? Example given numerous advertisements, serious advertisements, and so on. A good question, but we have to say no, we didn't. But this might be another layer and something we can investigate more. We have the data set, we have the ads, so that's something maybe we can do in the future. Let's see.
But I can give the hint that we had a look at, for example, humor in advertising in the last Screenfast study, mapping the impact, where we only tested on television, to be fair, but there we had a massive set of different variables, like how important is the soundtrack, how good is a strong branding, how good is humor. And I think that kind of study is still online, free to download on screenfast.de.
Yeah, exactly. All right. So let's see. Okay, now we have another question. Maybe then we will take this one as well. The TikTok user experience gives users a lot of control over the ad experiences. When they swipe away and ad it is fast, does the average hide the engagement, which adds with ads which catch attention. You might have answered this. Yeah, we did in a way. So you're exactly right. The situation, people in there, we call it also like the buzzer situation. So you really have to decide very fast, is this something for me, yes or not? So in the end, like the attention you are giving is like a voluntary situation. So if you decide on your own, oh, I will watch this video for, let's say, not 2 seconds, but 5 or 8 or 10, which people do, also this study, it's volunteered attention, and you, in each and every situation, have the situation that in the first couple of seconds, people are really attentive and really try to decide and try to understand. Yeah, so that's something that's happening. Yeah, but you've seen the results. This doesn't compensate the real short amount of attention you have on average. All right. Okay. So thanks for all the questions. And yeah, we hope that you have had an interesting webinar with us in the series. Stay tuned. I'd say the next one is like in a week or so. It will be about eye tracking, about different kinds of eye tracking, real eye tracking with real humans against all these prediction machines we have. Another really interesting topic. So yeah, watch out for the I Square Insight series and the next sessions. And if there's any questions, feel free to reach out. You can find Marvin and me on the website on I Square. So we're happy to chat and go into further discussions about this topic.
And feel free to connect like on LinkedIn, on Xing, whether it is the iSquare account or our personal accounts. We're always happy to help.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye.